Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if you're new. I hope you're having an amazing day wherever you are, and I hope you're staying safe. In today's video, we will be filling out application to register permanent residence or adjust status, also known as form I-485. I would highly appreciate if you subscribed to my channel if you find my videos useful, because I am subjecting myself to the emotional trauma of filling out these forms once again. So without further ado, let's get started. As you can see right now, the expiration date for this form is listed as October 31st, 2020. We are right now in February 2021. So yes, technically this form is expired. However, on the USCIS website, they do recommend that you use whatever the form is available. So we're going to ignore this part right here. This is not for us, and this part is not for us either. So we're just going to leave it be, and we're going to start right here. The form is asking for a number. If you are submitting this application together with your petition for alien relative, you will not have an alien number, so you can just write not applicable. Quick side note, I've been seeing on forums that USCIS has been denying applications that leave blank spaces completely blank. So in order to be safe, we're going to put not applicable in any blank space. Okay, let's move on. Part 1, information about you. Our applicant's name is going to be Jane Doe. Doe, given name, Jane, middle name, L. Other names you have used since birth, if applicable. Jane, before getting married to John Doe and beginning the application process, had a maiden name, Smith, and no other names, so we're going to say not applicable. Not applicable here as well. Next, date of birth, October 1st, 1992. Then we have this quick disclaimer. If you have ever used or provided a different date of birth, you will have to use part 14 additional information to explain that. Jane is a female and she was born in Moscow, Russia, and country of citizenship or nationality, Russia as well. She does not yet have an alien registration number, so we're just going to say not applicable. USCIS account number, we also don't have one. Jane does have a social security number. Okay, US mailing address, Jane L. Doe, street number 1, Sunny Drive, apartment 2, city, town, Boston, state, Massachusetts, and zip code. Alternate and or safe mailing address, this does not apply to us, so we're just going to say not applicable. Okay, next, recent immigration history. Provide information for these items. Passport number, travel document number, not applicable because we have a passport. Expiration date, country last issued, say Russia. Non-immigrant visa number from passport. Place of last arrival into the United States, New York, state New York. Date of last arrival, when I last arrived in the United States, I was inspected at a port of entry, admitted as, right here, we would have to type in student. It's not letting me do it. Next, if you were issued a Form I-94 arrival departure record number, you will type it in here. Next, expiration date. Because Jane was here on a student visa, you'll just have to type in duration of stay, like this. Next, status on Form I-94, for example, class of admission or paroled. Our class of admission was F1. Continuing, what is your current immigration status? If it has changed since your last arrival, it hasn't changed, so we just still say student. Provide your name exactly as it appears on your Form I-94. Next, application type or filing category. You will have to select one of these, principal applicant. Next, Jane is doing it through a family-based petition. She is an immediate relative, spouse of a US citizen. So we select this. These are all other possible categories for adjustment of status. Moving on. So these are all continuing visa categories. All right, so we can ignore all of these. And we're going to look at this question next. Are you applying for adjustment based on the Immigration and Nationality Act? No. Information about your immigrant category. Receipt number or underlying petition, if any. Because we are submitting this together with our petition for alien relative, we don't know our receipt number, so we're just going to say not applicable. And priority date, not applicable. Next, if you are a derivative applicant, the spouse or a married child, provide the following information for the principal applicant. So we're just going to say not applicable because we have filled out all of this information in the very beginning. Moving on. Additional information about you. Have you ever applied for an immigrant visa to obtain a permanent resident status at a U.S. embassy or U.S. consulate abroad? We're going to say no. We've never done that. And because we didn't do that, we're just going to say not applicable to all of these. Next, address history. Provide physical addresses for everyone you have lived during the last 5 years, whether inside or outside the United States, and if we run out of space, use Part 14 additional information. I'll show you how to use it. Okay, so physical address 1, which is our current address, date from and date to, and date 2 right here, you will type or write in current or present. Again, it won't let me do it in this document. Moving on. Physical address 2 would be the one we lived in previously before moving in to One Sunny Drive. What if Jane lived somewhere else prior to this date? Because obviously this is asking for the past 5 years. We're going to go to Part 14 to fill out the third address that she lived at. So before we go, please remember that this is Part 3, page 5. Let's scroll all the way down to Part 14 right here. Do not forget to fill this information out. For some reason, it's not letting me do it. So it was page 5, Part 3, item number not applicable. Physical address 3, street number and name. Apartment 1, city, state, zip code, and country. Date from, date to. Okay, so this is how you would use the additional information page. Moving on, provide the most recent address outside the United States where you lived for more than 1 year. And we're gonna say that Jane hasn't lived for longer than a year outside the United States, so we're just gonna say not applicable to all of these. Employment history. Again, this is going to be all the same information we filled out in Part I-130A. Provide your employment history for the last 5 years. Employer 1, we're just going to say unemployed, and all of this not applicable. Next, we're going to say employer 2. Okay, moving on. Provide your most recent employment outside the United States. So Jane has not worked outside the United States in the past 5 years. So none of this is applicable. We're just going to say not applicable. However, Jane did work somewhere else before 2017. And because this is in the past 5 years, we would need to provide this information. So let's remember that this was Part 3, page 6. We're just going to scroll all the way back down. Page 6, Part 3, item number not applicable. We're going to say employer 3. We're going to fill it out according to the same format. Name of employer, street number and name, city, state, zip code, country, date from, to. So this is how we would use the additional information page to also fill in our another employer. Also, don't forget to fill out the position that you held at that job. I forgot to include that. Moving on. Part 4. Information about your parents. Again, we're just going to fill out your parents' information. Parent 1, legal name. We're going to say this is her father, and he's never had any other names, so we're just going to say not applicable. Date of birth, male, born in Moscow, Russia, and currently living in Moscow, Russia. Moving on, parent 2. And here we would fill out her mother's maiden name. No other names used. Okay, moving on. Okay, moving on. Information about your marital history. We're gonna say we are married. If you're married, is your spouse a current member of the U.S. Armed Forces? No. How many times have you been married, including marriages that are annulled or marriages to the same individual? We've only been married once. Information about your current marriage. We're going to say that our spouse's name is Doe John H. And because John is a U.S. citizen, he does not have an alien number, so we're just going to say not applicable. Date of birth and date of marriage. Current spouse, place of birth, okay, and place of marriage. Is your current spouse applying with you? The answer is no, because he's not applying for adjustment of status. He's our sponsor, but he's not applying with us. So we're just going to say no. Information about prior marriages. If you have been married before, you would include other spouses' information. Because we have not, we're just going to say not applicable and not applicable. Next, information about your children. Jane and John do not have any children, so we're just going to say 0. And all of these following fields will be not applicable. Next, biographic information. Ethnicity, I'm going to say not Hispanic or Latino. White, height, weight, eye color, hair color. Okay, moving on. So this part is the part that will be asking you questions, determining whether or not you meet the inadmissibility grounds. Okay, we're just gonna go over these very briefly. Have you ever been a member with any organization in the United States, including military service and any other club or society or foundation? And we're just gonna say yes, for example, and we're just gonna say, for example, that Jane is part of a honor society. And date of membership. Next, if there were any other organizations such as churches or anything like that, we would include it, but we don't have anything else, so we're just gonna say not applicable to the rest of these. Moving on. This is a part that is asking a lot of questions. We're just going to skip over it because I'm not going to read every question. There is 76 questions, so please make sure that you answer all of them. These questions will be asking about public charge, and these basically mean that potentially they may deny your application if there's not enough financial support that can help you afford to stay in the United States. This question, are you exempt from the public charge ground of inadmissibility? We're going to say no, and you can determine whether or not you are exempt if you look in the form I-485 instructions, where it will tell you whether or not you should be filling out these 2 additional forms. We are not exempt, so then we're just gonna ignore all of these questions. They do not apply to us. We're also not applying as a EU non-immigrant. None of these apply to us. None of these apply to us either. So we're just going to ignore these. Illegal entries and other immigration violations. Again, answer these. Make sure you answer all of these. Removal proceedings, if you've ever had those before, also answer all of these and all of these. Any miscellaneous conduct, answer all of these as well. So after all those questions, let's move on. Part 9, accommodations. Are you requesting an accommodation because of your disabilities? We're gonna say no, but if you have disabilities, then you would select any of these and you will fill out explanation right here of what accommodation you're requesting. Next, your statement, contact information, certification. So we're gonna say, I can read and understand English. I've read and understand every question and instruction, contact information, phone number, daytime number, and email. Certification. You're certifying that all of this information is true and factual. Don't forget to sign this in ink after you print out your application. Next part is asking if we used an interpreter. We have not, so we're just gonna say not applicable to all of these. Next, preparer. We also did not use a preparer, so just not applicable to all of these. Okay, part 13, signature at interview. We do not fill this out. We're going to leave this blank because we're not at the interview yet, so we're just gonna leave this blank. And we finally got to our last part, which was the additional information part. This is the end of our application. I hope you guys found this video useful. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Check out my other immigration related videos, and I will see you in my next videos. Bye.